This is Dear Nick. I am your host, Nicole Blackson, presented by Love Now Media. This is the place where love, self, and faith intersects. Today we will talk about purpose. And I just want to introduce you to my guest, Kenny Jones. He is a motivational speaker, an author, a book coach. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Glad you can make it. So I'll jump right into the letter. Dear Nick, I'm lonely. Everyone is so happy around me. I hate this. You got advice? This is pretty straightforward. Right? So what's your advice, Kenny?
Wow. I have a lot to say when it comes to being lonely. I think that being lonely is relative, specifically when it comes to relationships and even more in LGBTQ community. We are very, very wrapped up in social media, a lot of apps and a lot of things that we watch on TV in terms of how people look, and then we chase after those things. And so when those people aren't real, then we all of a sudden think that we're lonely, and then we sort of forget that we have a tribe of people that is there to support us. So I would challenge the thought that I'm sure that you're not lonely. I'm sure that there are people in your circle, in your tribe, that are incredibly supportive, but we're not paying attention to them because we either just assume that they will always be there, so we don't put any type of energy into those people, and we are trying to search for a void or fill a void or something. So you're lonely for, I don't know, maybe sexual attention, or you have to make sure that you know what it is that you're lonely for, and then be able to accurately depict what it is that you're looking for. So I do think it's important to be able to not compare your behind the scenes to everybody else's movie, right? So there's obviously things that we're all going through, and then when we look at social media, we look at our friends being engaged or graduating or whatever the case may be, or people that we don't even know that has like millions of followers, and then we like, oh my gosh, like we're lonely.
Right.
So I don't necessarily believe that lonely is a thing.
Right. So when you were saying that, it made me just, in my head, I'm just like, well, lonely is a feeling, it's an emotion, it's a thing. But is it a thing to really be alone?
Yes.
So, I don't know. You agree a little bit? Like lonely is a real emotion?
I think that the emotion of detachment is real.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think lonely is the word for it. I think we just say lonely because everybody else says it.
The reason why we brought you on for this segment, because you're a book coach, right? Yeah. And it's like, just to be able to motivate somebody to carry out that dream, to me, this person, I would offer focus on you. You know, you're lonely, everyone is so happy. What makes you happy? Who makes you happy? You know, who do you smile around? How do you have fun? So it draws me back to just an individual choice. You by yourself, you know, what do you want and what do you like to do? Who are you? You know, what are you here for? What are you purpose for? And I think, guarantee that once you focus on that, your eyes will begin to open. You'll be able to take a real stock of who's around you, what's around you. Because if you're just focusing on the negative, I think it'll definitely keep showing up. It'll definitely keep showing up. You'll hear it over and over again. So when this person is saying that they're lonely, they may be spending more time by themselves than they like. So writer, what I would say to you is when you're alone, how are you spending this time? You can use this time wisely to focus on things that can edify you, to focus on, like I said, what you really like to do, what you enjoy, find out what your purpose is, and use it for this time to really be in tune with yourself. So even though you're like a motivational speaker and a book coach, can you please talk to us about just like the layers of when you're coaching somebody, motivating somebody, and carrying somebody? Like, what are the levels of that?
Oh my, that's a great question.
Right, you know.
One of the most magical things that happens when I am coaching someone is I first and foremost say, remove all of the idea of everybody else and what they think. Your story is important. So a lot of times people will come to me and say, well, I've been sitting on this book but I don't know if I'm ready to share my story. And I'm like, well, why not? What are you waiting on? Somebody to grade it? Like, do you want a teacher to say that it's okay? Waiting on a rapture? Like, what are you waiting on? So I think that once people get very clear, to your point, that their story matters, then everything sort of comes into fruition. So I've thankfully have helped over 20 authors just publish their stories. And if that meant that you wanted to write the same 3 sentences over and over, and that's your story, then it's yours. And it didn't matter who read it, right? But if you wanted your story, then that's what it would have entailed. So I do think the layers come from, I can coach you, but if you don't believe in your story, if you don't believe that you are of value, and I know that's hard sometimes because, you know, as being a victim of homophobia, and I know what it's like to be an openly gay black man in this society, I know that's hard, and you sort of struggle with that tug of war, but nobody has written your book. So what's not even, you know, and my book is an international bestseller, and so can yours be, right? And so it's not necessarily about not being able to tell your story as much as it is about making sure that you know that you do have work.
All right, so Kenny, you have your book here with you. Please share it with our viewers.
Yeah, so this is my book. It's called Comeback Season, The Untapped Art of Mastering Your Resilience. And it's literally a juxtaposition of my story, and I would call it, I guess, an autobiographical piece, in addition to a self-help piece. I think everybody, when you are describing someone, not a lot of times, especially in our community, do you hear somebody say, oh, Nick is resilient. You want to know why? Because we hide all of our struggles from everybody. We will say that somebody's kind or talented or smart, but everything that we sort of go through, we keep to ourselves. So nobody really knows our resilience. So in this particular book, I talk about pain versus purpose. I talk about winter is coming in terms of like everything is not going to always be peachy clean, right? There's going to be hard times. And so it is my hope that people find their resilience through this book and being able to see themselves in a lot of different things that I've gone through. So.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank you for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having you and imparting your wisdom to us and sharing your book. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
It's cool. So if I were to leave you with some advice to the writer and to our viewers, it is to always be steadfast in the seasons. Nature is a great testament of how we are to be as human beings, spiritual beings on this landscape, and that is to trust the timing, trust the process, but be steadfast doing that, right? And make sure you enjoy the journey. No matter what circumstance you are currently in, enjoy the journey, because that's what life is about. There's not going to always be the high, it's not going to always be the low. Things are going to shift, they're going to change, just like the season. So enjoy the journey and know that every time there's purpose. Every time, every season, every moment of your life, there's a purpose for it. No, you may not see it right away. It may be revealed later that day, later that year, the next decade. You don't know. But there's a purpose for it all. Everything that you've been through, everything you're going through, there's a purpose for it. Thank you for watching this episode of Dear Nick. If you would like my advice, please go to Love Now Media /Dear Nick, and I will definitely be tuned into what you have to say, what you want to ask. Stay tuned for our next episode on depression.